Travis, welcome to another episode. It's been a while. It feels like it's been a while.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
so one of the secrets, we batch content. So, we
Occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally. So sometimes we record 3 or 4 at a time. And it's last time we recorded a few at a time. So it's been a little bit since we got
It's been
together.
good. We did our job.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So for those of you doing social media, batch content. It does work. Anyway, today's topic, we're going to talk about our friend Jordan.
The Agent's Edge.
Okay.
Hello, Jordan Cohen.
Yeah. You had an opportunity to read the book. I read the book, and we've been talking a little bit about this for a while and doing some boot camps and stuff around the office, kind of taking a lot of information out about it. But I thought today, let's talk about,
Let's highlight it.
yeah, big takeaways or any key takeaways from the book, what you got out of it, and let's see if we can bring some value to the audience.
All right. Well, I got a whole list here.
Okay.
Well, let's start with the not so specific. One thing I got out of this book, matter of fact, I think he said it directly, is your success lies a lot behind your confidence and your sincerity. Like he hit on this again and again and again. And the analogies he used and how he talked about it just brought it to life.
Right. So my takeaway on that one was I heard the same message, and how I heard it was when you go into that appointment, whoever it may be with, in his particular case, it's listing appointments, but when you leave, they don't remember so much what you said, but they remember how you said it. And I found it interesting because a couple of the examples he gave in two different places in the book, what he was talking about is, and we hear this a lot when we're in an audience amongst our fellow agents, and somebody is role playing a situation or something like that, and that agent comes back with that harsh, snarky answer.
Mm-hmm.
We all get excited as fellow agents. Hey, good for you. But he honed it back in, and hey, what is the seller really thinking at that moment? Are you coming across as confident? Are you coming across as a jerk, or what's
Defensive.
the case? Right, or defensive? And if when you leave, they're not going to remember exactly what you said. But if you've offended them with that statement, they'll remember how you said it.
Mm-hmm.
And, your opportunity is more likely off the table.
And you know how you get yourself in that position? You don't know what to say. You wing it.
Mm-hmm.
You go in with, well, I'll figure it out when I get in there because I'm not sure where it's going to go.
Okay.
And it's a lack of role playing and having a plan. And when that happens, it makes you vulnerable.
It does. And role play, I look at role play so often, people, okay, I say this, you say that, I say this, and then you say that. And that's really not what it's about. It's understanding what it is that you have to offer and understanding that so well and being able to actually listen to the other person so that you can respond accordingly.
With confidence and sincerity.
Amen. Exactly.
To bring it back around.
Right. What else did you get out of the book?
All right. I don't want to jump into too much here. I want to go very carefully. Let's see.
We don't want to give away all
One
the
thing
secrets.
no, I do, but I don't want to. There's some nice ones here. I think
Okay.
will be better a little bit further down the line.
All right.
I just lost it there. I liked that he said, again, he repeated it through multiple parts of the book, where he said, you're not working with your client. You're not there to tell them what to do. They're the boss.
Yep.
So always make sure that you show gratitude and that you refer to them as being in charge.
Right.
Now, the key to that is once you've established that, then you take charge.
Right.
Well, and you take, because you've convinced them of the plan and you said, hey, here's what we're going to do, and you move forward. But you've got to let them know that you're grateful and that, you're not here to tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're the boss. You're just going to show them how to get there.
Some key things he said in that. It's an interview. He treats them as an interview. And he treats his marketing materials and his presentation as his resume. This is my resume going into this, and he treats every single situation when it comes to those listing presentations as an actual interview, that they're interviewing him for that job. And it was interesting when I first read that and I heard that. So like, it does change my perspective a little bit that if I was going in there, same as if I was going out to apply for a new job and how I'm going to present myself, what I'm going to say, whatever it is that I'm bringing with me, and how prepared am I going to be, it actually changed my mindset a little bit. And I was like, hey, I'm not as prepared for this as I should be, because if I was out job hunting, I would be treating this a little bit differently.
Yep, absolutely. Role play, right?
Yeah.
Got to know what to say, got to deliver it smoothly. And I like that you said it's his resume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you ready for this one? Along that same line. He said, I quote, "Everything I do builds on the foundation of my listing presentation."
You got to master your listing presentation. Okay, now these are my words. Do what you preach to the sellers.
Mm-hmm.
In the listing presentation is basically his business plan.
Right.
Right? Because once he's in there, once he's gotten to the listing, okay, let's say he's starting out as a new agent, right? We're struggling, we got to get some business. But once you get to the point where you're where you want to be and you're getting that listing presentation,
Right.
if you do what you said to the seller you would do, it's as much benefit to you as the agent in building your business as it is to them in getting their home sold.
Absolutely. And I think that that's forgotten a lot by, especially in this market right now. I mean, you put a house on the market and it's gone as quickly as you put it on in most cases. And a lot of people aren't spending that time doing the marketing and the things like that and taking advantage of the assets that they've developed in getting that home ready to go on the market, to be able to promote themselves as well as the house to the rest of the community of, hey, this is what we do for you.
And he doesn't even promote himself.
Right.
It's the marketing of the home, which is the promotion.
Promotion is a secondary promotion.
So his business plan is, well, for him, he doesn't do open houses, but that could be a big part of a business plan, is
Right,
doing
right.
open houses. You will be reaching out to your sphere to let them know about the listing, maybe to invite them to view it.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're in contact with your sphere, working your sphere.
Right, right.
And then I think we both agreed was really awesome, is his Instagram he refers to as his private MLS.
Yeah.
Well, there he is. By marketing his clients' properties on Instagram, he's got a social media presence second to nearly none.
Correct. Yeah, he calls it, his second MLS. It's MLS. It's in his presentation. It's the second MLS. This is what we do on this MLS, and then he talks about the benefits. And one of the other key things in the book that always kept coming back was that how and the why. How are we doing this, and why are we doing it? And as part of his presentation, obviously, always being able to explain that. And you've mentioned role play a couple of times. And in that role playing and his practicing, I think the book actually started off with, he spent 6 months, if I'm remembering right, 6 months practicing his presentation. So for those of you that want to take this business serious, and it was 6 months practicing.
Till his wife almost threw him out of the house because she was his role play partner.
Yes, and it was absolutely no television in the house for those 6
right.
months, and that's what he basically replaced all of his TV time with practice for 6 months straight until he had that down. That's a commitment. So when I say it, it doesn't sound like that big of a commitment, but it does sound like that big of a commitment.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah, turn off the TV for a week. Let's see what we get.
Yeah.
So.
You know what it makes me think of is I read an article, or maybe I heard some sort of podcast or something, and it was about Joel Osteen. So love him, hate him, whatever, doesn't matter. There's a point to the story. He understood that the most important job of his was that sermon
Correct.
that he put on
So
Sundays.
No weddings.
Well, I don't know about that, but it sounds about right.
Yeah.
But it was, I think it was just a half an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a half an hour sermon. He never had notes in his hands, always delivered it straight up. He would lock himself away to write
Yep.
and memorize that. He didn't care what demanded his attention.
Yep.
Nothing was more important than the time he put aside for that.
I listened to the same podcast. I think I listened to the same podcast because, yeah, he did talk about that. He eliminated all the other things of no weddings, no baptisms, no anything else. That it was just that he laser focused on that. And I think he talked about that he started on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, started on Tuesday or Wednesday to prep for Sunday. And yeah, I think it was Mondays off, started on Tuesday to prep for the next Sunday. But just that laser focused in that one thing.
And that's what I got from Jordan.
Right.
He was just so focused. You know, there's a lot of facets to what he's doing, but basically in here he said there's nothing more important than the listing presentation. If you don't have that down pat, you're going to have struggles.
Which we see in our industry a lot. So, and we see people not getting their listings for particular reasons. And a lot of times, unfortunately, they don't get it and they don't even know why. They don't know where they missed it. So what else you got in there?
I know, right? I'm looking here. Okay, I got two more. I got at least two more.
Bringing up some good memories from the book.
So this is one that we may have already touched on a little bit, and I know we've touched on it here at the office quite a bit, which is it's not what you're going to do, but why it matters and what value it brings to the seller. So the easiest example is photographs. And so many of us are, don't worry, Mr. Seller, we're going to have fantastic photographs. I have a professional photographer who comes out here and does them. And if you're really good, then maybe you say, and we'll have them out here at twilight because we want to make sure that we get the good light in the house. So anyways, on to the next thing. Whoa. Jordan's like, that's big deal. That's what everybody says.
Right.
How about we get down into the nitty gritty? Let's spend 10, 20 minutes on this, explaining why it's so important, how I'm involved in that, what I do to bring it to life to ensure that you get the highest price and the best terms, which is what he always says is the most important thing to any seller.
Exactly. He calls it, in the book, he always describes it as the how and the why. For me, I always describe it as the feature and the benefit. The feature being, hey, professional photography, and taking that time to explain what the benefits are of photography for them and exactly what it's going to do for them. And too often, you're right. I've sat in on many listing presentations, and this is kind of how it goes. Oh yeah, I'm going to do open house. I'm going to have a professional photographer. We'll have a stager. We'll have this. We're going to do this, and we'll have a property brochure for you. And they just boom, rattle all these things off and never stop to talk about why we're doing these things and what the benefit is to everyone of these things, and highlighting them a little bit. That's very rarely done.
And so powerful.
Absolutely. It's probably the most important. We know why we're doing it. We tend to assume and take it for granted that the seller understands what we're talking about. I had that just same conversation. Who was I talking to? Oh, I was in a meeting and I did it myself. I said MLS.
Oh, yes.
And they stopped me and they said MLS. And I had to explain. Did
it literally, Jordan, come to mind when that happened? You're like,
did.
Oh my gosh.
It did. This just happened, and it was funny. They caught me off guard a little bit because I was talking about the MLS. I was referencing something in I was referencing the part of the listing agreement in there where it talks about the benefit of being in the MLS. And so I was basically repeating what it said. What is the MLS? And I was thinking to myself, okay. Yeah.
Zillow? Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
But it's one of those things where guilty myself. It happens to us. We have to remember these things.
Yeah. Okay. I think this was towards the end of his. I love this one. So this will conclude my notes.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I took
what we have
notes.
after this. He uses an analogy to try and help show what he does as an agent and the values. And the analogy is that of a sports agent. Remember this?
I do.
I found this so fascinating and so powerful. And I guess it has to do with, I've read Lee Steinberg's book on negotiating. There was another super agent. I watched a show on him. I was always enamored because he was always on the phone so much. He literally had two phones and he'd be going like this. And I remember one of his clients saying, it was a football player, and he's like, yeah, he's like, my wife's like, man, you talk to your sports agent more than you do to me. And I thought, the first thing went in my head was, what a great salesman, you know? What a way to keep in touch and just be there. And I mean, there's a huge power to that.
Right.
And I made a note here, and I think this is what struck me a little bit too, is, you know, we've been in the business 20 plus years, and we remember the days when the real estate community was a community.
Right.
It was not only powerful, but it was important to know people and be in contact with them, and you would drive value out of that. And unfortunately, we see that waning these days, where we can do a whole transaction and not even see the agent on the other side or ever meet them,
Right.
which is unfortunate. So the analogy of the sports agent for him is, look, I don't just send out marketing pieces. I don't just knock on doors with strangers. I get out there and I go after the opportunity. He's like, with sports agents, they don't just wait for deals to come in.
Right.
They know their client. They're going to contact the people that they think their client will benefit the most to generate as many offers as possible and bring the light to these people's eyes,
Right.
which will in turn give their client the best opportunity. And I wrote just a little spiel here that I thought kind of helped describe it, which is, I wrote the sports agent analogy. This presents you as a proactive agent, so a huge benefit to your seller. Again, what does that mean? Expand on it. And makes you a member of a larger agent community that will pay off again and again as your business builds out.
Right.
So the more we're willing to do that and contact those agents for whatever reason it is, because we know them, we thought they had a buyer, we reasonably think they have an opportunity there that would be good. You know, even just saying to yourself, don't say this to your client, you know, use the analogy and just say to yourself, you know, for every listing, I'm going to call at least 10 other agents, maybe 20, whatever number you want. I'm going to find it. I don't care who, but I'm going to make sure that I find that number of agents and that I reach out and see what I can make of it. I think people would be shocked.
Correct.
At what that does.
Proactive versus being reactive. And it was funny when I read that part of the book. Show me the money, and Jerry Maguire just came to mind, and that was the first thing that popped into my head. And that whole what was it, the thesis that he had written at that time about what their job or their role really was, and this and that, and really that's what Jordan was talking about here. Is this is really what our role is and what our job is, and it resonated with me as well. And I was more simplistic because I kept going back to the Jerry Maguire. I kept thinking about that in my head, but totally got it. But yeah, what else?
That's, you know, those are the notes. I mean, I didn't want to go too big
Great book.
because people need to check this book out. It's nice. It's an easy read. It's probably 2 long evenings to get through it.
Yeah,
Not super short, but not long at all.
I've gone through it probably about 10 times now. First time was I guess it was 2 days. First time I went through it, it was probably 2 days. But it is an easy read, very practical.
Yeah, I love that. I picked up another one after this. I thought, you know, I should read started seeing other books. And I'm reading that one currently, and I realized the power of this book, of Jordan's. I go, this is so practical.
Very much
It's
so.
like literally on the ground, here's what you do.
Correct.
The other one I'm reading is so theoretical
Exactly.
that I was like, oh God, it was hard to read.
We get.
Yeah.
That was one of the other points that I was talking about earlier that I didn't finish bringing up. He was talking about being careful because remember the example he gave of a seminar that he had went to of a top agent, and they were telling him that gentleman was talking about his techniques and what it is that he did and all of his systems, and then he ended up being in escrow with him later on and discovered that everything he talked about on stage wasn't true. He didn't do, and I guess the wife was his partner, and he called his wife out on it, and she's, that's a stage presence.
That's the other Jerry or whatever his name is.
Yeah, that wasn't, that's not real reality of what happens. And too often I feel like in this business, that's what we see a lot of from the coaches out there, from the mentors and the things of that nature, that people are truly not presenting the real picture of really what's happening. Which he didn't go into a lot of detail and everything. Definitely beyond the surface, but it was for me. I felt it was extremely practical and very simple to implement. He gave examples of boom, do this, do this, do this, and implement it. And this is something you can start tomorrow, and will make a huge difference. So, like they always say, keep it simple.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's what he did. Which probably why he's having so much success. So,
Yeah.
All right. Any questions, any comments, please feel free to drop them in the link down below. We'd love to hear from you guys, what your thoughts are. If you get an opportunity to read the book, let us know. And I tell you what, first person to comment on this one, I'll DM you back or message you back, and I'll throw a book via Amazon your way. So I'll give away one free book.
Nice.
Only one. Yeah. Just to the first person. All right. Thank you, guys. Like and subscribe.
See you next time.